So last week I began uploading comics in my Instagram, and some of you messaged me asking how I create these. So that's what today's video is about. Hi, I'm Rohit, welcome to my art channel. Here I post videos about my art and the tips and tricks I follow. If you are interested in that, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you find this video helpful or entertaining, please leave a like. So back to today's video. To create a comic, I follow these 7 steps. So the first step, come up with a concept. So for today's post, I read a news article how COVID-19 is affecting the planet. While humans are staying at home and practicing social distancing, well, animals on the other hand is a completely different story. They seem to be having a blast. I read a news story where a bunch of elephants got drunk and slept in a tea plantation field. So I figured I'd create a comic which illustrates how the humans are right now and the animals are. Step number 2, sketching. So for this post, I decided to focus on 2 articles that I read, which was the elephants getting drunk and sleeping on the field, and the swans and fishes appearing in the waters of Venice canals. So for this post, I need to sketch a drunk elephant, a swan and a fish interacting, and myself sitting in a room looking out the window and wondering when can I go outside. So let's get sketching. So first, I sketched out the animals with their expressions, and then I sketched myself. So now the sketches are ready. Let's ink it on Photoshop. So for my comics, I have a base comic template which has a background, these comic book print dots, and the final page which I include in every comic. I keep this on the base template because this gives me a color reference for my skin tone, for my clothing, so that I have a cohesive color palette across my comics. I'll show the full process of me creating myself sitting in the room. So the first thing I do is ink it. So even though I have a full room, I'm going to ink only myself. And this is because this is a classic animation technique. You ink only the subjects and the background is just painted as is. You can see this across so many animations. Only the subjects which are being animated have an inked black outline and the background are just as is. This is done this way because when you give a black outline to a subject, your eye goes straight to the subject and you don't get distracted by the background. Once I'm done with the inking, the next step, which is color blocking. Like I mentioned before, I have this sample final page where I can pick colors using the color picker tool, and I simply just color block it. So once I'm done with color blocking, the next step is highlights and shadows. So based on my image, I find out where the light source is coming from and I give my highlights and shadows accordingly. And to make it look like a comic book, I have these Bengay dots which I apply as a pattern so that the shadow has these dots and it gives a comic book feel to it. So once I'm done with this, the next step is background. So like I mentioned before, the background doesn't need any inking. So I'm just going to use paint and start filling the background in. I don't focus too much on the details. I rough it out just so you understand these are the desk, these are the window, these are the backdrop, and so on so. So once I'm done with the background, the next step is speech. So I add the text that is appropriate for the screen. And for the speech bubble, usually I come up with type of speech bubbles that best represent the screen. So for this page, it's not the dialogue that is coming out of me. It's just a scene establishment. So it doesn't have a speech bubble coming to me. It's just a representative speech. So once I'm done with the speech bubble, I see if my framing is right and I crop things accordingly. And there you go. The first page is ready. So similarly, I follow these exact steps for the rest of the page. So the next page is the drunk elephant. I follow the same steps, which is the inking, color blocking, highlights and shadows, background, and speech bubble. For this page, we have an establishing speech bubble as well as a speech bubble coming from the elephant. And he's pretty drunk and he's wonky, so I have this squiggly line speech bubble. And the next page is the swan interacting with the fish. Again, the same step, inking, color blocking, highlights and shadows, background, and speech bubble. Now that the pages are ready, I mostly try to organize my folders in Photoshop so that when I'm exporting, I know which page comes first and which page comes last. So now we have all of the pages ready to be posted, and there you go. If you want to check it out, I'll leave the link of this post in the description below. Do check it out, leave a like. Again, you interacting with my post will help a great deal and it'll help me make more content like this. I'm planning to post more of these and I have a lot of ideas. Some of them based on my life, some of them just the things I find funny. So there you go. This is the process I follow to create a comic strip. As always, thanks for watching this video. So if you like this, like and subscribe. See you in the next one.